The story starts here, in the heart of the city.
We continue to follow the ongoing developments.
The student group is the first to take on such a project.
Everyone is waiting for a vote on the bill.
The team is winning at a record-breaking pace.
It's an issue for residents here and around Boston.
The story is coming up on Suffolk U News.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Suffolk U News, the weekly news program brought to you by the Department of Communication and Journalism at Suffolk University. I'm Chris McDonough from Beverly.
And I'm Tiffany Chan from Jacksonville, Florida. We're happy to be coming to you courtesy of your cable company and the internet.
We begin today's coverage with a report of an arrest of a Suffolk University student. Dominic DeMar was arrested on assault and battery on a police officer and resisting arrest. Officers responded to multiple calls of a loud party on Fleet Street in the North End last Saturday night. Police say that was when DeMar slammed an apartment door on the shoulder of an officer. The calls came through Suffolk University's Loud Party Hotline. The hotline is intended for residents to report disturbances in the Beacon Hill, North End, and downtown areas. The hotline is run by Suffolk University's Neighborhood Response Office. Director Rich Graylish even does ride-alongs every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night with Boston police officers ready to respond to calls and crack down on loud student partying. The phone number for the hotline can be found on Suffolk University's website. That number is 617-549-7503. Again, it is 617-549-7503.
We continue on our coverage of the gun control debate with news from MIT. A hoax phone message told Cambridge police a gunman was inside a campus building last Saturday morning. This caused a brief lockdown, but no threats were made to student safety. Just days earlier, two former representatives of Congress met at Suffolk Law School to discuss gun violence and what changes should be made to legislation.
We need to control and reduce the supply of semi-automatic weapons, of large clip capacities, and many of the things that the president has talked about.
If a person uses a gun in commission of a crime, it should be a deal ender. And the 1 to 2% of the people that commit the crimes, that should be the focus.
The two former representatives agree that it's both Democrats and Republicans who are struggling to find common ground in Congress. Boston Police Superintendent William Evans is ready to handle the problem of panhandling in the city of Boston. Currently, officers are allowed to ask panhandlers to leave an area if they believe they're acting aggressive or harassing pedestrians. However, Evans believes that a new ordinance should be put in place allowing officers to arrest panhandlers who ignore requests to cease aggressive behavior. The ordinance will be submitted before the City Council in coming weeks.
And now we turn to yet another example of the power of social media. This time, two Suffolk University students are taking on the whole tea.
The pair has taken to Facebook, Twitter, trying to get the MBTA to run late into the night.
Within weeks, word has spread, and now they hope to turn their idea into a reality.
Suffolk U News reporter Jared Pelletier joins us in the studio to tell us how this group got started.
Jared, do the students have a name for their group or effort?
Well, Chris and Tiffany, yes they do. It's Boston Stay Up, and it was created as a class project, and the two Suffolk students say they had no idea the group would become so popular so quickly. Co-founders Joel Edwards and Funsha Ojuri say they have been getting a lot of positive feedback and are prepared to continue on with the project until changes are made.
Everyone always complains about it, but you never see anything about it. So Boston Stay Up started around February 1st. We were doing it for a project, an advertising class.
Boston Stay Up was initially a classroom assignment. Now it is a fully functioning social media group with more than 400 followers on Facebook and Twitter. The group aims to have the MBTA extend its hours of operation, but they aren't the only ones who would like the T to run later.
Well, I live all the way in Brighton, so when I'm trying to get from Boston to Brighton, especially this area, it can get really expensive to take the taxi home.
The T stops running at approximately 1 a.m., which isn't late enough for many of the city's students, workers, and businesses.
To the city, because people want to go out and have fun, or people even have to work, and if they work, their shift could end up at 1 or 2, and their chances are they're taking a taxi or walking home. In other cities like New York, even DC, they don't have to worry about that.
Support for an extension of service hours is growing, but the MBTA says it can't consider an extension due to limited resources.
The T needs additional funding just to operate the way it is now without raising fare or cutting service options. So I definitely, that is a valid argument. You would have to find a way to allocate funds in a specific way to get it to work.
Boston Stay Up believes despite the financial situation of the MBTA, changes can be made if the public shows support and helps to generate ideas. So Tiffany, I spoke with the group's co-founders earlier this week, and they're saying that this is just the beginning of what they're starting and to stay tuned for what's coming up next.
So what are the steps moving forward?
Well, right now they're reaching out to business owners in the area looking for any way that they can help support them, and they're also working on implementing a official group website which they hope to be up and running in the near future.
You know, it's crazy that this started as a group project in school, and now we're seeing a Twitter, a Facebook. I'm looking forward to the website. Thank you, Jared. Joel and Funsha say they will continue to work hard and hope to gain public support to convince Governor Deval Patrick to extend MBTA hours.
The National Association for Business Economics recently released a report forecasting the country's future economic state. The NABE predicts that the unemployment rate will fall from its current 7.9% to 7.2% by 2014. If you're a prospective student, currently enrolled in college, or even about to graduate, it's not too late to appeal to future employers. Suffolk University's Director of Career Services, Paul Tanlevsky, shares a quick tip to boost your chances at finding a job.
I think the greatest competitive edge for our students is if they follow the formula that we know works, which is find something that you have an interest or passion in terms of a major, get relevant experience, internship, co-op, directed study, and based on that experience and an area of study that you have a passion and interest in, that really allows you to compete.
Tanlevsky also suggests knowing your brand, understanding what you can offer an employer, and getting to know the employment community. Now we'd like to pass along some great news about Suffolk Law School's very own dean. For the second straight year, Suffolk Law School Dean Camille Nelson has been named to the Power 100 list of most influential black lawyers in the country. She has also been named the co-chair-elect of the Association of American Law Schools section on law school deans. Nelson became the dean of Suffolk Law School in 2010. Dean Nelson is the first woman and first person of color to hold that position in Suffolk Law School's 104-year history.
In our continuing coverage of Black History Month on Suffolk's campus, we look to an event that tests students on their own knowledge of Black history. The African American History Bowl is a trivia game show where students are asked questions on historical figures, pioneering trailblazers, and even pop culture figures involved in Black history. Teams of mostly 4 and 5 have only each other when it comes to answering the questions. The event is sponsored by the Suffolk Greek Council.
Mainly here because Theta Phi Alpha is co-sponsoring, but at the same time it's interesting to learn African American history that I did not know previously.
The final event at Suffolk for Black History Month is this Friday, and it's a black and white affair at the Hyatt Regency Boston. The History Bowl event also coincided with the beginning of Suffolk's Unity Week celebrations. Unity Week is a planned week every year that gives the campus a chance to embrace everyone around. The events for Unity Week are planned by the Office of Student Leadership and Involvement and Program Council, as well as Diversity Services. Some of the events include the Unity Week Showcase and a roundtable discussion on racism and the modern entertainment industry.
It's really important for us to come together as a school and recognize our differences and similarities, to learn about something that maybe we're not learning about in the classroom, or to deepen something we're learning about in the classroom. Or if you're a faculty and staff member and you're not in the classroom anymore, to sort of learn about certain things that maybe you don't know about.
Unity Week's main focus is on social justice, diversity, and bringing everyone together.
Yes, we've had a bit of snow this month, but for sure, spring is coming.
And with it, more and more people on bicycles. They're out there all the time, but the better weather brings out more of them.
And more of them means more of us have to know how to share the road.
We have Suffolk U News reporter Hannah Lilly here to tell us What is the safest way to travel around a bike in Boston?
Hannah, is there a safe way?
Chris and Tiffany, the answer to that question is yes. With biking becoming more and more popular every year, safety is becoming increasingly important. We all have to learn how to help bikers safely journey through the city.
They're always around, but how often do we notice them? Bikers. Biking in the city is risky, but many feel the pros outweigh the cons. Suffolk Bikes, the biking club on our campus, promotes safe biking, especially because cars are not always aware of bikers in the road.
People who are in their cars who think they own the road already, with other cars, the third thing, then they look at pedestrians, and the third thing they look at is bikes, even if they think about that.
While it is a risk to bike in the city, it's viewed as a great alternative to driving or taking the T, both of which are more expensive and more time-consuming. At Back Bay Bicycles, all customers are highly encouraged to take steps to ensure a safer ride. While it is legal to ride without a helmet over the age of 16, it's not a safe choice.
It's your choice, but wear the helmet. I mean, staples in your head are a lot more expensive than a $40 helmet. It's worth it. It's like wearing a seatbelt. It's room to live. It's really a no-brainer, unless you want to be a no-brainer, wear the helmet.
And biking continues to thrive in the city. The number of bikers in Boston has increased over the past 3 years, and that trend is expected to continue.
In fact, a $5.5 million project has been proposed to make Beacon Street more bike-friendly by eliminating some parking spaces in order to add a bike lane. So, Chris and Tiffany, while it is legal for bikes to ride in the road alongside cars, they do need to follow basic traffic laws in order to keep that safety.
Thank you, Hannah. It's worth noting here that Hubway is expected to open in mid-April for the 2013 season.
That's Boston's bike sharing network. Its details of where expected new stations or more bikes will be have not yet been released. A new musical review is in the works here at Suffolk and is set to take stage at our very own Modern Theater. We'll tell you about how this brand new show is coming to life.
And Suffolk's Lady Rams hit the basketball court this past week in the Great Northeast Athletic Conference playoffs. But did the girls take home the victory, or was it a bittersweet loss?
Suffolk Scene and Sports are coming up.